Come, my servant is in great need. Come quickly. You can help him. And Jesus says, I'll come. And the centurion answered and said, Lord, I'm not worthy you need to come into my house. Just speak the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled and said to those who follow, Assuredly, I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel. So he's astounded. Here's Jesus, right? I mean, he's he's the creator of heaven and earth, right? And yet he's astounded. He marvels, it says, because he's not found such great faith. You know, we keep seeing this recurring theme that Jesus wants us to have faith. He tells us you don't need a lot of faith. It just needs to be the size of a mustard seed. And yet faith is what you need to have. Well, what is faith? I guess that's kind of the big question here. What is that faith that we're actually talking about? How do we get that faith? That's one thing to consider. How do we get that? Well, here this guy just understood. He understood and believed. It really comes down to a matter of choice. I'm afraid it's that simple. We have to choose to believe. We have to choose to see the good and not the evil. Because we can let our minds go in so many different directions and say, oh, these bad things are going to happen to me. You can choose to think that way, or you can choose to think that things are going to turn out really good. Now, it's really cool. We're discovering all kinds of great things with quantum physics and such that as a person is observing what is happening there on the subatomic or the atomic or subatomic level, it actually influences the outcome of what's happening just by the very perception. We've discovered now through the biology of belief, Dr. Bruce Lipton, that the way that we think will really truly affect what our genes then begin to put out. So how we think does change the world around us, and this is absolutely proven by what Jesus says and what he did. And so here he's amazed that there's a guy who says, you don't need to come. You don't actually have to come to my house to touch my servant. I just want you to heal him. And so Jesus is like, whoa, this guy, he gets it. It's not about touch. It's not about actually touching him. Just say the word and he'll be healed. Just say the word. That's all you need to do is say the word. And he can be healed over a distance. So you know what we're talking about here is we're talking about God's universe. God has created his universe in such a way that it's amazing that this thing called faith. Now, you know, it's God's power. It's God is the one who got the universe going. He's the one who has established these amazing laws. He's the one who created quantum physics and all that cool stuff. We're just now beginning to understand it at the more scientific level. But these truths have always been there. They haven't changed. They're not new. Nothing's changed in that regard. We can now have really cool little apparatus and instruments and stuff that we can take a look and see what's actually happening there. And we're going, whoa, this is crazy. Then you start getting into quantum entanglement and all kinds of other weird stuff. And you're like, huh? And yet we've seen it with our own eyes. So now for some people, seeing is believing. But the Bible keeps telling us believing is seeing. And so this centurion, he didn't need to actually have Jesus go there. Okay, now lay your hands on him and then, he'll be healed. He's like, Jesus is so cool, so powerful. He just needs to say the word. And somehow the word will be like transferred. It'll go throughout, the air or whatever, and my servant will be healed. Right? And this was really incredible to think that you could do such healing at a distance. This guy got it. Most people didn't. Well, where does that leave us? Well, Jesus said, all things are possible if you believe. That's what we need to be about, is believing that God does amazing things. We need to trust him. And this isn't to lay a guilt trip on you. This is to encourage you. This is to encourage you that God does amazing things. And we have to put our trust in him and believe that the outcome is going to be awesome. He's going to test us for sure. We're going to find ourselves kind of up against the wall, so to speak, sometimes. But that's when God does amazing things, is when there's no other way except to believe. And that is when we believe, is when there's no other recourse. You say, okay, I guess I have to just believe because I can't do anything else. I'll have to just believe. And it's at that point when we relinquish all of the supposed control and we try to figure out how I'm going to do it, all this different stuff. That is when we see God come through. It's not that God wouldn't come through sooner. It's really our limiting beliefs. Remember, Jesus went to Nazareth. He could not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. So it's not to say that God isn't powerful enough, but in some way he has infused us into the equation when it comes to doing really cool things. And so we're part of the equation. We have to believe, and then we see cool things. We see all these amazing things happen. And of course, there's so many other passages. Matthew 8:26, why are you fearful, O you of little faith? He arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. You don't see Jesus saying, oh, guys, I understand, I get it. No, he rebukes them, or he kind of chastises them. Why are you fearful, O you of little faith? You're like, wait a second. These guys, they're in the storm, and they're about to drown. They say, Master, don't you care? And he says, why are you fearful, oh, you have little faith? Jesus isn't any more distant for us today than he was back then. He is as close to us as he was to those guys in the boat, right? Think about that. He's that close to us. He's not any more distant, right? Well, if I had been there in the boat, I would have thought differently, and because there's Jesus, right? He's in the boat, Well, he's in your boat right now too. He's in your boat. He's in your boat. He will take care of you, but we got to trust. Don't be the person of little faith. We don't have to stay there. We might have spent a lot of years there, but don't stay in that state of little faith. I hope this encourages you to trust in the Lord, that he is going to take care of you. He will meet your needs. He'll bless you. Take care.